Hello, my name is Shay Klingbill, and I'm the Alaska State Director for MUFON. Today I have the distinct pleasure of attending the Midnight Sun, Sasquatch, UFOs, and High Strangeness event with guest speakers and members of the Boreal Bigfoot Research Group. A huge thank you to Heidi Worley and everyone involved putting it on. It was a very wonderful gathering, and I'm so glad that I was able to go. It was held at this very cute shop called Cryptid Brews and Curiosities. So if you're up in Anchorage, it is a must stop. If you like cryptids and UFOs and just really interesting little things that you need in your life, you must stop in. And I've also heard that she is getting a coffee bar put in soon. So that is excellent news for people like me who need their caffeine fix. So I've shown this in the group before, but I got this at the store. It always makes me smile when I see it. And I got this one today because sometimes you just need a little giggle when you walk by the counter and see your candle sitting there. And for those of you who know about my animal rescue efforts, especially in the area of feral cats, you will say that yes, indeed, I really did need this, and this is perfect. So I also got some books because, of course, from the authors and speakers. I'm very excited to read this one. So this one is called Before Patrick, the Sasquatch Human Hybrid and Our Genetic Inheritance by Norman Anton Soley. So it looks like a very intriguing, deeply researched read, and I cannot wait to dig into it. So you'll want to go and check that one out. Jessie Desmond was also there, and she spoke. She has a book called Saucers of the North that I believe is available on Amazon. L. Shane Land was there, and he has a book called Bigfoot Unclassified, an Unconventional Assessment, that I'm going to have to go on Amazon, I believe, and check it out because it sounds wonderful and like I need to add to my collection. Larry Beans Baxter did his podcast live, and he is also an accomplished author and was also in Search of the Port Chatham Hairy Man, which you may have seen. It's a very good documentary on Port Chatham and Sasquatch. So you can find his podcast and his books here. Hopefully you can see the link. It was www.ala and then sasquatchpodcast.com. So while MUFON does not investigate standalone Bigfoot sightings, we leave that to groups like this one. We do investigate when they are in connection with a UFO. And I have been finding that to be true more and more. For whatever trend that is, orbs and other high strangeness connected with ufology are becoming more and more entwined with Bigfoot sightings. So it makes our research even more interesting. So I thought in honor of today, I would share a few of my Bigfoot sightings and experiences. The first one occurred when I was a young child, living out on my parents' homestead outside McGrath, Alaska. So McGrath is a fly-in or river travel village only, and it's on the Kuskokwim River. My family lives on the Takotna River, and the Takotna flows into the Kuskokwim. So we had no near neighbors, and we'd go out hiking in the woods often, and you would never meet another soul. It was just that remote. There's a mountain called Apple Mountain. It's absolutely beautiful, and we would often hike towards it. On this particular day, I believe I was about 10 or 11 years old. I was off with my father and my sister, and we were just out hiking, enjoying the beautiful day. We came across a clearing, and it was odd. A little further on was a whole bunch of trees, those black spruce trees, that had been yanked out by the roots and planted topside down. It was incredible. I had never seen anything like that in my life. And you could tell that some of these trees had been like that for a while because the roots were all white in that way that wood gets when it's been exposed to the elements. But some of it was actually quite fresh looking and had dirt on it. So I reached out an investigative paw to touch a tree, and my sister's like, "Don't do that. I don't think you should be touching that." So we didn't linger. There was an odd feeling over there like we shouldn't be there. So we turned around and I think we went home a bit early. So I didn't realize until much, much later that those upside down trees are often thought to be some sort of Bigfoot marker. So over here in Chugiak, I've had a few experiences, mostly in October. I feel like they do some sort of travel around that time, and they often come when it's foggy. I have had what sounds like someone dragging a heavy stick along my house, thump, 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 and you go out and nobody is there, and the animals inside are all looking at me like, "Do something," and I'm like, what can I possibly do when I can't see it? So why I think it's a Bigfoot is because it's usually along the same time that I'm hearing the tree knocks. So you might say, "Shay, the tree knocks could simply be bull moose knocking their antlers against a tree." Fair point. But one of the things about growing up out in the woods is that you get to learn the sounds of actual animals very quickly. And these are no moose knocking their antlers on trees. One day, I was out with Treasure. It was mid-October, and it was getting on towards evening, but it wasn't quite dark. It was a bit foggy out there. So we're looking towards the tree line, and Treasure's doing her business, very slowly, I might add. And I see this figure just standing there. So this figure is between 7 and 9 feet tall, kind of broad-shouldered, looks a bit hairy, but I'm looking at it through some swirling yet lifting fog. And I'm thinking to myself, that's really weird. I can't possibly be seeing that. So I look away and rub my eyes, and I look back, and it was gone. I have also heard the vocalizations that sound just like the ones that you would hear in the Bigfoot documentaries. And there was one evening where there was that snarling sound out in the front yard. It was dark, the shades were drawn, I was home alone, there was no way I was going to look. I was going to pretend that it wasn't happening. But it did sound more like the more angry sounds that you can hear in the documentaries. So more recently, I was hiking in the redwoods out of Crescent City, California with a family member. And perhaps you guys remember the little video that I did for you while we were in the redwoods, and I mentioned Bigfoot. Well, later on in that hike, and there was nobody else really around because we started late and we kind of overestimated our abilities, I guess, and underestimated the amount of time that it was going to take to complete this hike. So we were out there a bit longer than a lot of other people and a bit longer than we had intended. And I'll tell you that we started hearing these vocalizations, and they do sound like the ones in the Bigfoot documentaries. And it sounded like it was traveling parallel with us through the woods for probably 10-15 minutes. We would hear them every minute or so. So it was really strange and eerie. I can't say for sure that it was a Bigfoot, but as we were some of the only people out there, it's hard to tell. So anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you get to check out some of those books and that podcast. We have a lot of really gifted people in the field of both Bigfoot and UFO research. Thank you so much. Until next time.